What is up, folks? We are live. I've had to come live without the man Ben Fanning, but here he is now. He's just getting up from his chair. He's having a little walk round. I'm sure what he's doing there. And he is going to intro you up while I send the link out. So sorry for the delay. Ben's internet's like worse stuff. They used to take the mick out of my internet, these people. But now I think Ben's is maybe taking the flipping the biscuit now. So
I know you up in the hills, me in the inner city boy, and I might as well be better with a piece of tin foil and a bit of straw.
Exactly. I don't know what's happened. There we are. So folks, if you're tuning in, Ben, sort them out, get them liking and all that nonsense while I send this link to everyone who wanted it.
Well, good evening. First on a Wednesday night. We was making it happen. There was no way this week we was not going to make it happen. Through other commitments, we had to reschedule our time. But like always, a pleasure to have you here. But before we get started, please like and share, because you know there's someone out there today that needs to hear what we're about to say. But like always, we set the show off, Lockdown Live, coming at you with some real, raw, relevant information. Give us your biggest or your best part of the week, or even today. Just narrow it down to today.
Yeah, what is it? The best part of today? It's a bit weird doing it in the evening, isn't it? We normally do this on a Thursday afternoon. We're doing it in the evening because, well, basically, I forgot I was in Ireland. I mean, I'm not in Ireland now, but I mean, I forgot I was in Ireland at the end of the week, so I couldn't do it because I'm getting the ferry to Ireland. Normally I fly, but I'm getting the ferry, mate.
Yeah. Never. How long is that taking you?
Ever, just forever. Just all day. I think it's taken 4 hours on the ferry, but 4 hours to get to the ferry. So it's like an 8-hour journey to get to Ireland rather than usually it takes me an hour and a half from Birmingham on the plane. It takes 40 minutes. It takes me 40 minutes to get to Birmingham. But for some reason, we're ferrying up this time. So all the way out there. So yeah, we're on a bit of a Tuesday evening, which is a bit weird for us. But who we got here? We got Sabrina. Can you see these comments, Ben? Milla's in, Tina's in, Angela's in,
I can't see anybody.
Sarah's in.
What's going on?
Rachel Firmage is in. Luke's in. Jen is in. Sheila's in. What is it?
Sounds like a full house. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamie Scales in, putting down 100 meters squared of roof. No, 1,000. 1,000 meters squared of roof. What, today?
I have not got a clue what that means. How many tiles is that? What does that look like?
That's a lot of tiles.
Man.
That's a lot of tiles.
I got a thing with heights. I got a problem with heights. You won't catch me up there. I tell you now.
Yeah. I got a real problem with water, not heights. Mate, we got a few people in. John's in. What's up? I'm actually having a pint with John, I think, this week because he's over in Ireland.
Nice.
He's one of our academies. Yeah.
Oh, man, I love Dublin. I love Temple Bar. I love the Guinness. I just love Ireland. You know, when I'm over there, I feel at home. Although my family's from Cork, and they've all got...
Not tiles, roof sheets. I was going to say, that's a fucking lot of tiles otherwise. Paul McManus woke up at 6:30 before my alarm was due to go off. Got up and drove to a massive set of steps and ran up and down there for 20 minutes. Nice. So we're going to dive in because time is a little bit tight tonight.
I need my charger.
What's up, Laura? Price of a pint in Temple Bar, yeah. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about self-care, right? The most talked about topic in the mindset world right now, which is self-care. So I think me and Ben are going to go back and forth, sharing a little our insights on self-care. And then we'll probably do a couple of questions and go from there. What are you doing, Ben? You look like you're robbing your own house. Is that your house?
I'm just putting my charger in while my sink is growling at me. Hey, give me some more wins, man. You know I love to hear those big wins. That's why we're getting set here. What else is going on?
What else is going on? Well, here's another question. While we're just getting sorted here, while Ben's actually sorting his life out technologically, is what's been the best bit of your day? What's been the best bit?
Yeah, I want to know that.
Give us one best bit of your day. It's like 40 odd a year here, which is cool for a Tuesday night. Like, what's been the best bit of your day? What is it? Put it in, and then I'll share mine. Ben will share his, and then we'll just get cracking. Leanne's in. What's up, Leanne Carval? one of the Academy crew. Tina's in. Tina's in our 30 days, actually. Leah's in. Don't be scared of heights. It's okay to look up. It's depths to be scared of and look down. Maybe. Paul McMahon says 12 out of a possible 12 points for the week so far. That's what his best bit of the day is.
Nice.
Dal Murphy's done meditation 3 days in a row. Nice. Thomas, what's up? Jenny has done 11,000 steps today. Get in. That's way more than me. I've done hardly any.
Beautiful.
I'm going to check right now how many I've done. A measly 5,000 so far. What's the best bit of your day? The question is, what's been the best bit? And if you had a bad day, like people put, I've had a bad day. Well, what was the better bit of that day? What was the better, the glimmer, the tiny fragment of like, that wasn't so bad? There'd be something. Going for a walk with my dog in the woods. Nice. I love a bit of walking in the woods. Rachel, how to get tuning tires on car? I asked for a discount as bulk buying, and it worked. I never ask. Mate, I love that. Good on you.
Shy kids don't get sweets, right?
Shy kids don't get sweets, yeah. Being recognised at work for a staff recognition award. Cornetto and a lovely walk. Oh, I haven't had a cornetto in years. Racing the kids around the garden. Saturday night, 5-year-old man had a brilliant, no bullshit chat about life. Love that. Having a long chat with my son. Doesn't happen very often. If I've missed some, it's because we can't see him. I hugged my 4-year-old to say thanks for bringing my dog to work today. Run 5 miles before work. Mate, there's loads. Got my hair done.
Do you know what I love about hearing that stuff? I know it sounds a bit mush cookie, is that when you're going about in your day, these things are happening elsewhere. It's crazy, that, right? It just messes with my head, that stuff. My sink is growling at me.
Yeah, I'd leave it. Jet washing the garden in the beautiful sunshine. Getting my new motorbike on the road. Went for a spin. Biggest one I've rode.
Nice.
Right, love it. Got my hair done. Best bit was watching Horrid Henry. Best bit of my day, company with my friend. Nice. Lovely heart breathing today in the garden. Oh, man, this is great. So let's get diving in. We're going to talk about self-care. And that is probably the biggest topic. I actually spoke about it at massive, great depth last night on a live feed, but we're not going to do that.
Yes, you did.
What was that?
Said yes, you did.
Yeah. Me and Ben are going to go back and forth on a little bit, but who is like, what do you do? What would you say self-care is? Anyone watching this? And what would you say it is, Ben? Like, everyone bans it around now, don't they? It's all over my Instagram.
Yeah.
It's like, you've got to look after yourself. You've got to have good self-care. What is self-care?
I mean, self-care for us is the whole 9 yards, right? It's a great question. And the way I would look at self-care doesn't look nothing like someone else's, because someone's self-care is getting making sure they've got a good tan and they've got some gel in their hair, they've been on a sunbed. And I get that, right? But it's just that, it's for me, forget the self-care, it's that intention and that awareness to making sure that you're looking after yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, the whole 9 yards.
Nice. I love it. I'm going to bring this comment up because I like it and I like using technology these days. Sarah Jane. Is it Percy? Sarah's in the academy, actually. Having compassion and respect for your needs. I like that.
Love that.
I like that a lot. Putting yourself first, as a few people have put, doing stuff just for me that floats my boat, something that makes you feel. And we're not looking for a right or wrong answer here, by the way. I'm just interested, like, what is people's definition of self-care? Not the definition, like if you went and looked it up. Like, what's your definition? Ben was saying just, taking care of himself and all across the physical, mental, emotional spectrum, really, weren't you?
Of course. But it's having that intention as an importance, understanding it's a responsibility, my own responsibility, and it is a priority.
Well, that's why the word self's in it, probably.
Of course.
Maybe.
It's
just taking care of yourself, looking after the in and the outer, making sure your mind's in a good place, making yourself a priority, something that makes you happy. It's amazing. I just wondered, when people talk about self-care, I think, it's big now in the world, because I think, for the most part, we live in a world where we live in a world where we put our own sort of health and well-being second to everything else, don't we? A huge amount of people, and that's why I think a lot of us end up in the predicament we do, where we're facing burnout and we're and we're mentally overdrawn. So maybe we're stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, afraid, physically exhausted, and maybe have a low opinion of ourselves sometimes because, you know, we are putting ourselves last and our needs last, and we've been born. I don't know. So I think it's a common misconception, and that's what a good person does. You know, like a good person puts himself last, everyone else first. But I think we've all tried that way of living, right? I know you have. I know I have, and you end up good to nobody. Like you're not even good to yourself, and you can't be there for the people that you care about when you're awful to the level you can when you feel good. So, yeah, someone put wearing a mask and then put rolly face. I love that. Absolutely love that.
Isn't that right?
We're not going to go down that rabbit warren, but wonderful point. So giving yourself a treat.
I think we should do one day. Hey, you know.
Well, maybe we'll go there. But Ben's got a problem with his sink. He's got a problem with his sink care. So taking time for yourself. So I think a good level of self-care is massive. I mean, if we can, positive thinking, if we can look after ourselves and we can care for ourselves, I think we are so much better able to care for other people and go and get better results. Personally, that's what I would say about self-care. And so I think that one of the most common misconceptions with self-care is the self-care day. I'm not a big fan of the self-care day, as Ben would know. I think the self-care days are great. Like, you know, you're stressed, you kind of, and then you go, oh, you know what, I need a self-care day, so I'm going to go off for the day. I'm going to turn my phone off. I'm going to go on holiday, or I'm going to get my hair done, you know, or I'm going to get, you know, I'm going to go and have a sunbed and all those things. And that's amazing. I think self-care days are good. But I think, and I said this last night, I think they are the mindset world's crash diet. That's what I think a self-care day is. Like, treat yourself like shit for 6 days, but then one day take the edge off the symptoms. Oh, your internet's much better. I don't know what you've just done. Take the edge off your symptoms. It's like, oh, it's like a reactive way. Holidays, great. All these things are important. But if my self-care extends to this one day a week where I kind of go to town on it, then my self-care is limited. Self-care is a daily thing. Self-care is a daily thing. For me personally, self-care is a daily physical, mental, emotional thing. Yeah, not a plaster. It's handling the stresses of it rather than the symptoms. I think self-care days are just the symptoms. Ease the symptoms rather than deal with the cause. Very reactive sort of thing. And so I think self-care is something we can all do each day. And I think a little bit of self-care each day is more beneficial than a load of self-care in one day. Now, if you get both, you're on fire. But if I had to choose, if someone said, look, you can have a bit of self-care each day or a load on one day, that's all you can do, Si, I'd be like, you know what, I'm going to go for a little bit each day. I'm going to go for a little. Bloody hell, they're looking for me. Fucking hell, they're after me. You hear that airplane? So I think self-care. What would you say is one of the biggest problems? What would you say is that a question for you? A bit of a loaded question. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying. Just a little often. But when it comes to self-care, what do you think stops people? In fact, and you guys listening, what stops you from doing that daily self-care? What's your biggest obstacle? And what would you say from your experience, Ben, it is maybe? Well,
I think I'd have to answer this with three things. The first bit is the understanding and the knowledge of what it is, right? And like you said, we've had this misconception of do we serve everybody else but ourselves, wherever that starts from school, whatever, right? That priority of okay, let's call it self-care, is not a priority. So the second thing is then what is priority? You know, you speak to people now. I remember I used to say when I was in my personal training days, I used to say, you know, how much water do you drink? And they would look at me like I got two aliens on my head. So it's that understanding of what habits you should be having that are beneficial to your health, your mental health, your physical health. So it's a lack of knowledge and skill and application probably. And I'd say that the third one is that maybe this is a trick one. Like people only really give a shit about that usually when it's too late or where something really hits the fan. So how do we make that as a point that it's important, or not get to that point where it becomes an important, that then we take action? Is it accountability? Is it a big enough leverage? Is it a big enough scare? Who knows? But I would say they are my top three.
Yeah. People in the comments are sort of talking about guilt a lot. Oh, guilt, I feel bad for putting myself first. You know, children, maybe not caring at all. Yeah, people said come from family where, you know, you're almost made to feel bad for looking after yourself. People can sometimes think self-care is a bit selfish, can't they? You know, it can come across as, and people say that. I often find other people will attack somebody else who looks after themselves, maybe, almost because it highlights they're not doing it. And so if I'm in a relationship and I'm looking after myself and I'm making time for myself, but the other person maybe doesn't, they will throw out, well, that's all right for you. You know, you're looking after yourself. I'm doing all this. I'm caring for this. And sometimes it can be, you know, they can attack a bit. But when people are attack or mock or anything like that, it's usually because it's highlighting they're not doing it and they'd like to, you know, or maybe they
of course.
Or should be doing it.
It doesn't fit the crowd then, you're saying?
What's that?
Like this day and age, like being healthy and vibrant doesn't really fit the crowd.
Yeah, I think so, sometimes. Yeah, I think anyone who, it's that old thing, isn't it? If somebody's kind of looking after themselves and taking care of themselves, and somebody else isn't, that example always makes the person who's not doing something feel bad about what they're doing. So most people will try and get you back down to what they're doing. So everyone likes to feel normal and, you know, on the same level, don't they? But
of course.
A few people have put like self-care is important. Self-care is massively important, yeah. Mental health stops me from doing self-care. I would say flip it the other way around. You know, self-care probably impacts your mental health more than anything. I'd flip it that way. Look at it that way. A bit more of a powerful way to look at it. Does it stop you drinking water? Does it stop you moving a bit? Sometimes we've got to break through that little bit of resistance, haven't we, around that topic? But, you know, good point. So I think if anyone feels guilty or bad or whatever about self-care, I know ultimately, you know, you can't help anyone beyond the level you help yourself. And when we feel guilty, it's because we think we should be doing something for somebody else. I know plenty of people who come to us who've got to the point where they can't do anything for anyone because they've been too busy doing too much for people. Yeah, I mean, over serving so much that because they care, that now all of a sudden they can't care for anyone. And now they're in trouble. And that's when people usually reach out, isn't it? Like, man, can you help me? Can you do something? But we don't want to get to that point where it's too late. And if we do, we can easily turn that round. But if we want to help, you know, most people want to help well-being, then this daily investment, small daily investments that are going to improve our well-being more than these big reactive things. And also, I don't know what you think, mate, but sometimes things like this become trendy and people get caught up in little trends, you know, the tiny little trends. I get a lot of messages. Si, what do you think of those mats you lie on and that for my anxiety and my stress? It's like, yeah, why don't you just practice the real good basic stuff? And that's irrelevant. That's a 1%er. That's like a supplement. You know, people are, is this supplement going to help me lose weight or trim up? It's a supplement. It supplements all what you're already doing. If you're training hard and you're eating right, maybe. And that's what some of these mind things are like. They're like supplements. They're not going to make up for a shitty daily practice. They might add a little bit if you're already doing some of the stuff. I don't think you can beat the basics for self-care every time.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. What would you say, Ben? You're just looking at me. I think you've gone. I don't know. I think Ben's internet's gone. He's just winking.
No, he ain't gonna matter wheels. I'm speaking now.
You are now.
Is it gone again?
No, you're here. Go.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I was saying, no, you're right. You know, all them type of things like supplements, mats, like whatever mad trend is going around like right now, it doesn't unmask bad habits. It doesn't deal with bad habits. You know, like these are the 1% that can help. Once you get the basics right, we know that. And there's a time and a place for them, no doubt. But you know, if you're always sitting in a bad position and expecting to take painkillers to improve your back,
Mate, I don't know what, I haven't got a clue what you're saying. Ever since you turned your washing machine off, your internet's gone.
and you ain't getting in, you know, to the root of it rather than just and the cause of it, and just try to mask it with painkillers, then this is to get to the root of the evil. We have.
Ben's gone. Everybody, Ben has left the building. He was here and he was saying something good. I'm pretty sure he was talking about getting to the root of the thing rather than masking the system. Come on, Ben. Come on, Ben. But it's true. I think we're both saying the same thing before he got kicked off there. Ultimately, self-care is a lifestyle, and we don't have to have these big grand things. People, I haven't got time to do self-care, because sometimes we think self-care is those big things that we got to go do. Like if you're a female, maybe, you know, I don't want to sound fucking too presumptuous, but you know, it's the usual stuff like, I'm gonna have a spa day, I'm gonna have my nails done, oh, I'm gonna get my hair done, and so blokes, you know, if you're being stereotypical, it's like, oh, you know, you're gonna go out for the day and play a game of golf, or go do some sport, or go fishing, all those different things. The reality is the small things are going to be the best things. The daily things are going to be the best things, and you don't have to make loads of time for them. They are simple things. Just looking after your hydration is self-care. The way you look after your body is self-care. Little daily things for your mind is self-care. Those small daily practices are a whole self-care thing. And when you put those big rocks, it's like having a big glass, and I bring Ben on right now. It's like having a big glass. If you want to fill that big glass up, you know, you chuck the big rocks in there first. That is physical, mental, emotional habits. Moving, hydrating, breathing, meditating, journaling, you know, getting outside, all those different things, big rocks. Then you got little tiny things that can go in those gaps. And you got the sand. Most people are trying to fill it with sand, I think, you know, and it's time consuming and hard, as opposed to putting the rocks in there and just going, hey, this is my daily self-care stuff. Self-care isn't all fucking, like I said, fancy big things. It's the small daily things. And yeah, all areas need care. I was going to ask Ben this as he brings him back on the live stream. You can hear me, I know, anyway. But for me, everyone's going to have a different area. Like, I've looked after my body in my past massively, to the point where I was ripped to shreds at mid-20s. Like, I was, man, look at me. But I was so unhappy. I was so unhappy with myself. And then I went through a stage of like, it's all about the mind. And it is. But then I just stopped looking after my body, and I felt sluggish, and I felt a bit crap. And then I've had periods where those two have been spot on. But I haven't been doing anything for like my soul, like for me, and finding balance with work and play, you know, like recreational sort of stuff that I enjoy. And, you know, even if you don't do loads of recreational, but don't look after yourself mentally, it's hard. I think everyone finds their own little balance. As long as you're ticking the three, you've got to find a balance for yourself. What would you say on that? Where, and your journey of self-care, where's that gone for you?
No, it's crazy you say that, because I've been there myself. I was shredded, and this is what changed when I was personal training. I was getting people in great shape, but mentally they were just staying the same or have a little improvement. And then, you know, these people who are filthy rich, but then they're overweight and got no connection with the life, got no connection with the family, just have no connection outside of business. So you talked about the other day about having coherence over between the body, the heart, the mind. And then we also have to have that coherence in life, right? We also have that balance. I like to call it a good money system, where you're investing in all the accounts, the mental, the physical, the emotional, because you need that as the main energy source, and you need to be investing in those accounts on a daily basis, like Simon was talking about. You know, them rocks and big things. We ain't reinventing the wheel. Hydration, daylight, movement, good sleep, you know, quality food around good people. You know, when that's like putting like me inside you, sort of cement of building a foundation. And you know, if self-care doesn't sit in that priority and it's not something on a daily basis, which we're now, this is another problem that we've got with all this, is that we're in a position now to create this self-care for us. We have to get into that element of change. Now, when you're fixed in that situation, your life, that you're having this, you know, you're in discomfort or you've got low energy, then to change anything in your life takes some form of energy. To move forward in life takes some form of effort. So now you're stuck in this base of low self-care with low energy, knowing that you have to step into on the other side of that, what you're going to receive and what you're going to get in terms of health, vibrant energy, and all the good shit that comes with it. That's another barrier that people have that's stuck. You know, people have it in a place where they can't improve from. But like, that's why, for me, going back to what we always say, you know, you just need to win the morning, or you need to win the PM routine. You need them small wins to get the big results. And side talk is just because you're making small steps doesn't mean it's not towards big shit.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say this. It's Ben on the moon. Someone's asked if you're on the moon, mate, because your internet keeps going coming in and out. I think it's because Ben's some kind of force of energetic light that his internet he's too strong for the internet. I think that's what it is. But I think you bang on when you're talking about the small rituals and the daily things and all the rest of it. But I think sometimes everyone has different areas where they maybe feel something's missing. I think that's where to go with it. I think, you know, like you say, you've got a body, look after it. You've got a body, look after it. You know, because it's going to get you around this world. You know, you've got a mind. It's a creative force of, like, it's so creative. Like, look after it. Because if you look after your mind, it can be your greatest ally. If you don't look after it, it can be your worst enemy. So look after it. And then you do have a soul or a heart or whatever you want to talk about. And you know, sometimes you've got to look after that. That's the stuff we enjoy, the pleasures we get out of life, the fulfillment. You know, and it's nice to look after that area of your life and have things for you that truly make you feel good. I always call that the stuff that makes your heart sing, you know, like the stuff that it may take lots of energy, but you seem to get more energy back in doing it. You could do it all day. It's this amazing stuff. And I think also I learned this a lot. Connection. Having connection and community is a big deal for a human. We can pretend we don't like connection, and we can pretend we don't like community, I think, sometimes. But I think every human flourishes in the right community, you know, in the right surroundings. I think that's really important as well, to be surrounded by people that you enjoy being with. Now, I'm not saying you have to remove everyone, remove all toxic people, but, you know, I'm not a big fan of that. But just being surrounded by people you like and having a community of people around you is a big, big deal. And I think we miss that. Whether it's an online community, an offline community, having communities that you can be part of, you know, that you feel great in, I think that's a big part of self-care as well. You know, self-care, like I said, it's more than just the nice shit. Sometimes it's those simple things. And what does a human need? And what do you need as a human? What do you enjoy as a human? I know one of the greatest self-care things for me is to play the keyboard each day, to practice, to go and have my piano lesson, but also walk in the hill. It's a mixture of things, hydrating, taking time to meditate, just small levels of self-care. They don't rob me of much time. You know, I'm not having to drive. And, for me, like a spa day would be the ultimate opposite of self-care. I'm just not interested. But for some people, that really floats their boat. So go do it. For me, it's like, not really. I'd rather walk the hills all day, than go to a spa, for example. But some people say, I'd rather go to a spa. Or it doesn't matter. But it's finding people, finding things that make you feel good. And your feelings never lie. By which I mean, they're always going to tell you whether something's good for you or not. And if it makes you feel good doing it, and do more of it. Like, people say, but some of the things that make me feel good are bad for me. Well, you only know that because after you felt good, you felt really bad. The things that are really good for you don't have the really good, really bad bit, do they? They just have the really good bit. You're like, man, that feels good, So there's none of the guilt and shame and all the rest of it after. So I think having ticking all those boxes, and I don't know what people are watching. There's a fair few of you here. You know, what's one thing that makes you feel really good? Like, you know, what is one thing that makes you feel good? When do you feel at your best? What sort of little things? What small things? Is it being with people? Is it you know, being out and about? What is it? I'd be interested to know, because that's self-care. Do more of the stuff. Why don't people do what makes us feel good? Very often we don't do what makes us feel good because we think we've got to earn the right to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to earn the right to feel good. That's a natural base state as a human being, feeling good. You know, everything else is the non-natural. Like, you don't have to earn doing something for yourself. It's like you should just do it because you get to do it. We live in this reward thing. Oh, I don't know if I deserve the day off. It's like, of course you do. Of course you do.
Yeah.
So loads of different comments. Making time for me. Getting out in the woods. Being on my own. Sitting down and reading. Breathing in after breathing in. I'm not sure you know that, but being out in the wild. Ben, what is going on with your internet today, mate? I can hear myself over and over in your internet. Everyone takes a mick out of me for being in the middle of nowhere. Ben's up in Manchester. They should have like the world's best internet, probably. Feeling the warm sun on my face. So getting outside. Up in the field. Getting up in the field, getting out, looking at the views, being in the cemetery, meditating. Man, nice. Sounds weird, but I like it. If you like it, you like it. Being in the sunshine. Weiss, there's loads of you here. Weiss, what do you do? Love being out and about on my own. Cool. So moving on from here, as we start tidying this up. Ben, if you had to think of it, what's 3 things that anyone can do tomorrow? If you can hear me, that would improve their self-care.
You hear me? No.
Kind of. Mate, I just can't wait. It must be such an experience to watch this Tuesday evening live. It's like, can you hear me now? I'm off. Tell her. I'm back. I'm off. Hello, can you hear me? I'm out. I'm back. This is like having this live with you tonight, Ben, if you're here. Having this live with you is like listening to my dad.
I'm back.
It's like listening
I feel like Boris Johnson.
Yeah. It's like listening to my dad leave a voicemail talking to you. Like, he leaves me a voicemail and he's like, hello, are you there? He ain't there. I don't think he's there. He ain't there. Hello? No, he ain't there. Well, leave him a message. All right, so is your dad. Give me a buzz back, will you, when you get there? Where are you? What are you doing? It's like he's.
Oh man, it's so frustrating.
So
it's so frustrating.
Before your internet implodes, I reckon you've got about a minute, right, before it goes. So what are your 3 self-care tips that anyone can do tomorrow? Simple things. I don't need anything to do. Nothing. No kit, no equipment.
No, we're in. Make sure you drink. Yeah. Nothing. You got to make sure you drink some water. Baseline. Yeah. Drink water. I will probably heart breathe. And the last thing is do something you fucking love to do. The one thing you just love to do. Do something that you love to do. That's it. Man, you will feel better. You will be greater than your current reality.
I love that. So drink some water. How much? Oh, he's gone again.
At least 2 waters. Minimal. Big pint of water in the morning.
Pint of water in the morning. I would add one thing.
Yeah.
I would add one thing. This is something I got off you, actually, and this is important. Get your ass outside early. No shit, this has made the biggest difference to my day. Like getting up a little bit earlier and actually just going outside. Now sometimes I like to go for a walk with Milo. I don't like to walk Milo too early, otherwise it gets to the afternoon and he's like, come on, what, let's go for a walk. He forgets he's had a walk. And then he gets to the evening, he's like, yeah, come on, let's go. So I don't like to walk him too early, but I like to either get out for a walk or just get out in the garden, rain or shine, get out, walk outside. And I've done it the last couple of weeks a bit more consciously, like, right, get up and get outside. Usually with nothing on my feet, because I'm like that. I like being nothing on my feet. And I just walk down the garden, grab a cup of tea, walk down the garden, just walk around. And I'm like, oh, I feel so much better for getting out in the flipping fresh air early. What's up, Justine? Early. That's made a big difference to me. Everyone can drink water. Everyone can get outside. Another thing I'd say is just get your steps up. Like, no shit. It's so boring. It's boring. But like, when I do less steps, I don't feel as good. Like, and I don't think it's not placebo. Like, oh, I don't feel as good. Let's check my. Like, I just think, oh, I feel a bit sluggish today, and when I think, I'll check my steps and go, I've hardly done any steps. Right. And that's different to training. And people say, oh, but I train. And it's like, yeah, that's great. And I train. But actually, if I haven't done many steps, I haven't been moving much throughout the day, I don't feel as good. I don't feel as good. So getting outside and moving early and walking more, I think they are great things. And the last thing Ben said is, like, do something that you enjoy doing. Some of you put reading a book. Somebody put writing name in capitals with your hips. That's a Ben Fanning special. You know what I mean? And if you're waiting for permission,
do that first thing in the morning.
Yeah, well, before you get out of bed, maybe. But if you're waiting for permission to go and of somebody to go look after, to go and actually say it's okay and to look after yourself, then you don't need anyone's permission. Trust me, 10 minutes of your day to fill up your own tanks, like, you'll feel so much better for it. And if you do it daily, even better, honestly. And so, what's your main takeaway from this evening? We just lob this one in real quick because I'm traveling to Ireland. Ben's busy on. We couldn't fit it in other than tonight. I think we're going to be chucking more lockdown lives out. We've got a few cool people coming on the next few weeks. But what's the one thing you've heard us say tonight? What do you need to take from this? And
I want to take my takeaway, if you can hear me. Can you hear me all right?
The only bit I can ever hear all right is the bit where you go, can you hear me all right? And I go, yeah. And then I can't hear you again. Go on, say something, talk. Oh, God. Man, this is the best. Can you?
There's like a 10-minute delay. I said that 5 minutes ago. But I would say that self-care is way more important. Yeah, way more important now. Is that,
mate? I know you're saying something real good. I know you're saying something real good, but I just couldn't hear it. So what? Before Ben's gone now, after taking us through that, so we have to make time for self-care. That's what I'm taking away from tonight's session. Yeah, Another tip: don't use Ben's network provider. Write it on a piece of paper and hold it up to the cam. So fill up your account. Do something for yourself. It's okay to have some time for me and not feel guilty. Honestly, definitely. All these things, it's okay. It's okay to be selfish and not feel guilty about self-care. But it's bad. It's bad when we well, I'll leave you this for me. You know, what world are we living in when it's considered bad to look after yourself? I just don't get it. Do you know what I mean? What world do we live in when people are made to feel bad for looking after their well-being? Do you know what I mean? We frown upon people looking after their well-being for the most part. It's like, oh God, people looking after their well-being. You know, they don't say that, but we feel bad for looking after our well-being. Then we feel bad for talking about the struggles with well-being. It's like, come on, you know, what kind of world do we live in where you have to feel bad for taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional needs? Now, if you go over the top and become completely consumed by it, then it's not self-care anyway, is it? It's obsession, and that's not self-care. Anytime something becomes an obsession, it's not really self-care, is it? It's mastering us. But fucking hell, what kind of world do we live in where people are where we have to kind of feel bad for going, oh, maybe I should look after my health? We should feel, you know, we should feel almost filling people with praise for doing that. So much better. Do you know what I mean? So for me, don't try not to feel bad. And if you do, then start carving out some small time. And when you start seeing the benefits, when you start seeing the benefits of it, you know, and the benefits of feeling good, you'll be more inclined to go do more of it. But don't feel you have to do loads. Just start with small things, and don't feel you have to be the person posting their self-care stuff everywhere. You're looking at it going, oh, I haven't got time to, you know, go on a fucking day out. Or that stuff's the small sand. The big blocks are your daily habits. And if you're hydrating, moving, the number one habit for me for self-care is always going to be meditation. And if you can get a handle on that every day, your self-care will rocket. Trust me, because this bad boy is in charge of all things. Well, if you let it. So, yeah, if you take anything from tonight's self-care special, number one, small things done well, big rocks. That's the first thing. The second thing is from there, add in the other bits. But do stuff for yourself. Look after yourself, because you're important. And we're all worth it. We're all important, and you know, we're all important to other people as well. And they want to see us happy and healthy. So you're only as happy and healthy as your habits. So improve your habits daily. Wake up tomorrow, do something. One thing. If you did one thing that's something you don't normally do, that would be so important. That would help you so much. You don't have to go from doing none to doing loads. Just wake up and do one thing. And I'm, you know, from another point of view before I go, because Ben's not coming back. If you can, I work with a lot of people who are at the top of their industries, all right? People who perform into a high level always have to have a high level of self-care. So it's not just people who are struggling, it's any of us. Any of us. Our well-being is the most important thing on the planet. Because if you don't have your well-being, you don't have anything. You know, nothing matters without that. So have a wonderful Tuesday. I'm off to go walk the hills. Be good. If you got something from it, hit the like button, hit the share button. We're going to start a crowdfunding account for Ben's Wi-Fi. If you could donate some money to the Ben Fanning Wi-Fi project, then that would be incredible. Maybe you could donate some of your data, some of your gigabytes to him, and he can have all the data in the world then, and we can hear some of the stuff, the amazing stuff he's going to say. Until then, go steady. I shall see you on the other side.